and building upon what Dr. Balasubramanian has mentioned about learning, and what he actually rightly said, that the learning should be for the teachers, not the students anymore. And that's what I believe too. And thanks for giving segue to. And interestingly, I did my education here and immigrated to US 20 years ago. And from that time onwards, I was involved with teaching and research and even clinical practice. But my hobby and passion is teaching physicians. And while doing that, I came to know that physicians are not the only people who provide quality health care. And to be a physician, they are supported by many, many people around them, not only allied health, but basic scientists and clinical scientists. And taking this view of a whole picture of what a quality health care is. And we started building modules to train people at every different level. And while training these people at every different level, we realized that the trainers has to be trained too. And that's what we build upon small modules so that we will never make a mistake, because the mistakes made in a hospital results in the death of a patient. You're actually taking away life. And when I landed here today morning, and my brother is a doctor, and he's telling these horror stories how a midwife uses the same gloves to deliver the baby and to go and actually deliver 3 babies with the same pair of gloves. And he was saying that there's high incidence of cervical cancer in women because of HPV transmission. So taking into all these considerations, I thought I won't show you any words. I'm going to show you some pictures of where our healthcare will be leading in the next 10, 20 years. I'll be touching a little bit upon basic science and translational science and applied science, and maybe end up the whole thing about how we teach the next generation of these healthcare providers. So, to sum up everything, nowadays, education, science, and even saving a life is commercialized. We started with the noble cause of teaching. We started with the noble cause of saving a life. But all these things are now blended into making money. Very unfortunate. Money is an integral part of life, but unfortunately, saving a life is also linked intricately with making lots of money. So, to go back to the roots, everyone should think about the science of teaching. And I would say, if your professor or if your teacher is a boring teacher, the student will turn out to be a boring professional too. And when we think that science and the healthcare and everything is all stupid crap, you just have to stop a minute and think about it and say, so if I am suddenly having a cardiac arrest, and if I take the hospital to, how is it trained? I'm not sure what's going to happen to me. But interestingly, we have attorneys to deal with them. At least if I die, my family will get millions of dollars. That's a separate issue. So maybe we are training more attorneys rather than qualified professionals to give quality healthcare. So we are at a crossroad. We are at an educational crossroads where we don't know where we want to go. We come up with different models. We come up with different paradigm shifts, and we still don't know how to evaluate these paradigm shifts and different models. And that's why I believe we are at a crossroads. And I also believe that there is no one single path to take, because students come in different entities. Some are stupid, as we say them. Some are dumb. But everyone is a unique individual. So we want to cater to every individual who wants to learn, particularly in a healthcare setting like a hospital and a medical school. So these are some of the things of the future. If there are any healthcare providers or allied health people, or maybe you guys or general audience, if you go and think about the future, what healthcare should be, these are the things people are focusing on. We don't have drugs to cure anything. We just have drugs to manage disease. Imagine if you're diabetic. For the rest of your life, you're on insulin. How can we cure diabetes? That's where we are trying to teach the kids. So that involves a lot of research and learning also. So the next thing is informatics, and we all talk about bioinformatics. And our informatics system is very unique that you can gather information and make sense out of this information to come up with new modules, new ideas. And unfortunately, our informatics system is to dump information in there and forget about it. And maybe we'll retrieve it back if we want to make some money. But we don't really analyze the information to come up with new ideas and test these ideas to give, again, quality healthcare to the patients. Pharmacogenetics. Some of you are allergic to penicillin. Some of you are allergic to peanuts. How come we are so different? And we are developing e-modules to actually identify the genes that are involved in these allergies that cause allergies in individuals. We are not even taking as a group, as a population. We want to see whether you are allergic to penicillin before we even give penicillin to you. But I remember when I was growing up, for everything, my primary care physician, 7 days of penicillin, straightforward. And after 1 week, I come back again, another 7 days of penicillin. I think I'm immune to penicillin now. But many of us are not immune to some of these things. And so we are developing modules to isolate your genetic profile in sort of an e-library so that we can actually, with a click of a button, you can get the profile of your patient and make sure that there are no what we call SNPs in the gene profile, so that we'll make sure that he won't have any allergic reactions when we give penicillin. And gene therapy, and like I said, these are the future, what we are looking for when we talk about our health, our life living on this planet. And I'm not going to talk about individual basic science stuff. I'm going to move on. And tissue engineering is another big thing where we are developing modules primarily as a models, like what Dr. Balasubramaniam said, and then trying to see whether it works in silico. And then we are trying to develop lattices and matrices to develop artificial hearts. Actually, I was involved in actually making an artificial pacemaker using stem cells. But before we started anything else, we actually created a virtual pacemaker like what my previous speakers told you. So here are some of the things which will be involved in the future. And this is my favorite slide. My wife says that she needs 10 of me. And I'm so happy that I thought she likes me a lot. But then she said, no, it's not like that. One to clean the car, one to clean the house. But then I said, I can have a virtual imagery to do actually. She said she doesn't really need me in the house. She just needs a virtual imagery saying that, okay, I have a husband now. And that's where we are going in terms of not only for the student. We are very much involved and we are experts as teachers. And maybe even students look at this and say they want to learn theories. And they want to do practical work. And they want to actually acquire some skills. And that's where we focus them independently in our teaching. But to make them good professionals, good citizens, we need to inculcate the culture of combining all these three modules together. And that's what we did with this simple, and I'm going to skip this because in life sciences there are so many careers apart from just being a physician, a professor, or a scientist. And this is the thing which we are catering to in the future. So these are many, many careers. And with that in mind, we started a simple pilot program 5 years ago with 7 students. And this year we just ended this last week where we had 140 students enroll. And it's a highly competitive program where we select from all over the United States and we recruit them. And you'll be surprised to know that these are 14-year-old kids. We didn't want to teach residents who are MDs, who are physicians. We want to do a pilot study of taking 14-year-old kids and teaching them the clinical skills. Imagine a 14-year-old kid doing an IV line or a lumbar puncture on you. And we evaluated them. And I'm going to show you one thing, and then maybe, I don't know whether you can hear it, but someone you mentioned, he did this virtual imagery.
So the first thing you do, you want to meet the patient. Hi, how you doing?
Okay. Now once you've done that and you've identified it, it's time to get ready to actually do the procedure. So first I'm going to put on my gloves. Okay.
So it's actually teaching the students, and we actually...
And a special thing about the tourniquet is watch how I put this on, okay? I want to make sure this is the kind of tourniquet that I can undo with one hand, okay? You see how I can just with one hand undo this? If I tie it in a big knot, okay, it's going to be very hard to undo. So I just do it like that so I can undo this when we're done. Let's take a little time out, and I'm going to show you exactly how we tie that tourniquet, because that really is important to keep you from getting all clutched up, okay? So we got the camera a little different angle here, so we got one more time, because it's a little tricky to see it the first time. Okay, so first I go like this, okay? And then the index finger is the key thing. I go under and tie it real tight like that. Okay, and again I'll show you how it releases so nicely, just like that. Okay, so now that I've done that, that makes me pop. You can ask the patient to pump their arm if you like. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop some local. Okay, It's always a good idea to do some local, because you always say to yourself, you know, if I miss or I have to dig around, this is really going to hurt, okay? So why not give the guy a little local? The thing you always want to do is say to yourself, if this were your mother or this were your brother, isn't that what you'd do? And that's what I would do, okay? I'm going to put some local there, but first I want to make sure that I wipe off with some alcohol. So I wipe.
But at the same time, and here is a very good example, a 14-year-old kid. I'm proud to say I put this picture because she's my daughter. She was successful in doing IV lumbar puncture every time she uses her gloves and a needle. If a 14-year-old can do it, I shouldn't move on. This is one of the things which we do in simulation. We actually take a simulated mannequin and actually change the parameters on the screen. So the heart can beat fast, the blood pressure can go up, and it's a job of these 14, 15-year-old kids to actually save the patient. So it's a hands-on skill which we try to do. And to sum up everything, we are in a mode of globalization, and every country is looking at India to come up with new ideas. And we try to develop modules to teach, but we never ever try to develop modules that can evaluate our teaching. So if we can take that into consideration and develop modules like what we teach, but also evaluate not only the students, but ourselves as teachers, then I think we'll make a big impact on the global scene. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.